Coming your way on the Lakers Report, a mailbag where I answer all of your questions from our loyal subscribers. But before we hop into those questions, let me ask you this. What's your confidence level in the Lakers if Russell Westbrook is not traded heading into the February 10th NBA trade deadline? It's going to be the pinned comment. Scale it for me from 1 to 10, and let's answer these questions right now. What's going on, Laker Nation? You're watching the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, a Lakers news and rumors mailbag with the season progressing heading into the February 10th NBA trade deadline. A lot of our subscribers have questions for me, and if you want to be featured on a future mailbag right here on the channel, use the hashtag Lakers in the comment section down below. Start off this mailbag with this question coming in from EDM Records. What would be the most realistic Russell Westbrook trade for the Lakers? So really what's difficult for Los Angeles going into the NBA trade deadline is Russell Westbrook's age, it's his salary, and it's his declining play. So you combine all of those factors, really tough for Los Angeles to trade him away considering those circumstances. And you're likely going to have to package Russ with maybe some picks in order to get rid of him and bring a player back that could kind of help you on the roster this year. Now, I did put together a list of some Russell Westbrook trade destinations. This is a combination of teams really that could absorb his large salary and maybe use him as a basketball player. Look, the numbers have never been a problem with Russell Westbrook. He continues to put up monster numbers, but it's his playing style that can become maddening and is not conducive to winning. So if he goes back to the Houston Rockets for a player like John Wall, I think that's somewhat of a realistic scenario. The Sacramento Kings continue to be a dumpster fire, even though they beat the Lakers last week. And if they decide to hit that reset button, but at the same time want to rebuild and have a marketable face, maybe Russell Westbrook could go there in Northern California to help the Kings throughout that phase. The New Orleans Pelicans, another team that maybe could bring in Russell Westbrook. The fan base doesn't always have the best support for that basketball team. I think it's only a matter of time over the next several years, maybe even just a couple of years, that the Pelicans could look elsewhere to move that franchise to. Las Vegas, maybe a franchise goes back to Seattle, maybe even Nashville. So I think all of those are options as well for Russell Westbrook trade destinations. But going back to the original points that I made, declining play, him not really being a playoff winning player, combined with the age and the salary, really does make it tough for the Lakers to trade him away. Now, I want to challenge you in the comment section on today's show, and here at Chat Sports on the Lakers Report, we're all about audience interaction and audience engagement. So I want you to get into the comment section right now and send in your Russell Westbrook trade ideas. And if you use the hashtag Lakers, maybe we'll feature them on a future show. Marquis Robertson with this question. He's been one of our loyal subscribers here on the Lakers Report and all of our Chat Sports channels, so shout out to you. Do you see the Lakers trading D'Angelo Russell for Russell Westbrook? So, Russell for Russell. You take the vantage point from the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've actually been one of the surprise teams in the NBA this year. They're battling for playoff positioning. D'Lo, of course, is really, really close with Karl Anthony Towns, and they have the makings of a pretty good roster. So why break that roster up to bring in Russell Westbrook? And if you were to do a player-for-player swap, I think that's highly unlikely, and I think it would be an awful move for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are going through some changes in that front office. If I'm Minnesota, I'm kind of keeping that roster together. Anthony Edwards, Cat, D'Lo, some of the other intriguing pieces. See if you can make it into the playoffs this year for the first time in a long time and end that playoff drought. Now, here on the channel, we're going to continue to talk about all these Lakers news and rumors questions, but first, we want to tell you about some deals thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Spring right around the corner, and for those of you living in California, you always have great weather. We're emanating to you from our Chat Sports studios in Dallas, and it's nice weather here, but still, spring right around the corner, and a bunch of really good sales thanks to our friends at Fanatics. If you plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/Lakers gear, you got shirts, you got masks, you got everything that you really need. Multiple styles, multiple colors, and really you can support the winningest franchise in the NBA as far as bringing championships home. So once more, chatsports.com/Lakers gear, a bunch of items on sale if you plug in that link. But here's the deal. In order to get those deals, you must use that link down below for those deals to apply. Now, when you take a look at what Russ has done this year and D'Angelo Russell has done this year, D'Lo has missed some time with injuries, and their numbers are very, very similar. But ask yourself this question. I mean, who would you rather have on the team right now? Would you rather have Russ? Would you rather have D'Lo coming back to the City of Angels? D'Lo nowadays, I think, is the more efficient offensive player, even though sometimes he has that James Harden type of feel to his game where he can really go ISO a lot and dribble out the majority of the shot clock. But still, you take a look at the three-point percentage. I mean, 35.5% to 29%. D'Lo right now, the better modern-day offensive player. He's a little bit younger as well. So I would like to have D'Angelo Russell more so than Russell Westbrook. The only problem is Minnesota would be really, really stupid to pull off that trade. Russ is 33 years old, and it feels as though D'Lo has been in the league forever. Of course, he was with the Lakers for a couple of years back when Kobe was still with the squad. RIP to the Mamba, one of the GOATs, but D'Lo's still only 25 years old. So that further proves my point and my argument that the Timberwolves should not get rid of D'Lo. And the cap hit, much worse for Russell Westbrook, who continues to have one of the worst contracts in the NBA. $44.2 million this year for Russell Westbrook. D'Lo on the hook for $30 million in base salary. Now, here is a Lakers-Minnesota trade idea that we did put together. This is salary match. So you put it in the NBA trade machine, and it works financially for both teams. The Lakers would get D'Angelo Russell and Taurean Prince, who really isn't playing this year, has a fat salary, and wouldn't really give the Lakers much, but of course it's a salary matching deal. And then the Timberwolves would get Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan. So Laker Nation, let me pose this question for you, and let me ask you this. Would you do this trade? Type Y for yes, type N for no. If you're typing your N for no, we disagree, but nowadays it's okay for us to disagree. We enjoy the healthy discourse right here on the Lakers Report. Jarrett with this question. We need to trade for Miles Turner. I've talked about this a lot. He also likes Jeremy Grant too. So, Jarrett, I feel you. Also badly in need of a point guard is kind of the statement that Jarrett had made. Appreciate you getting your questions in. So, on a couple of fronts, I would like Miles Turner. I think he would really aid a lot of the Lakers' struggles, especially defensively. He leads the league in blocks and has done so the last 2 years. And offensively, he's really improved vastly his offensive repertoire where he can really shoot the ball from the outside as well. And the Lakers don't have a big man, a traditional big man on the roster who can do that. Don't hit me with the, well, LeBron's playing center. I'm talking about traditional big men here. And in need of a point guard? Yeah, because I've kind of made this be known. I just don't think Russell Westbrook is a winning player for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, here on the channel, we're giving you multiple videos every single week. We're always touching on the latest Lakers news, latest Lakers rumors, trade rumors, especially as we quickly approach the NBA trade deadline. Another reason why you have to subscribe to the channel as we continue to grow like crazy. North of 40,000 subscribers, nonstop Lakers news and rumors all year long, in season, out of season. Plus, we're not behind a paywall. We don't ask you to pay for this content. We give it to you free. So hit that red subscribe button down below. You take a look at the Lakers guards, and kind of an interesting combination of guards here who do bring a different set of skills to the table. Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk has really flashed at times as a shooter. He's a little bit too spotty and inconsistent for me. THT really hasn't lived up to the expectations that a lot of people had for him, including myself, after signing that deal worth around $30 million. Avery Bradley is what he is at this point in his NBA career. Gives you something defensively. Austin Reeves has been a good story. Shout out to producer Sam. He went to Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, just like Austin Reeves, who people call, what's his nickname again? The White Mamba and the Arkansas Kobe or something, or a Hillbilly Kobe. Legendary nickname for Austin Reeves, who really, I mean, you read some of the quotes from Phil Handy, who really has been a great skills coach with the Lakers and outside of the Lakers, of course, worked with the legendary Kobe Bryant for a long time. When he says Austin Reeves can be legit, I certainly buy stock into that. Now, to kind of answer and elaborate on Jarrett's question of we really need a point guard, here are some trade candidates out there at the point guard position who I think could be made available going into February 10th. And look, these guys are made available for a reason. It's the Kemba Walkers of the world. Goran Dragic hasn't played for the Toronto Raptors this year. There was some buzz about him teaming up with Luka Doncic because they're friends and they're both from Slovenia, but that never came to fruition. Maybe it happens going into the NBA trade deadline, but the play of Jalen Brunson has kind of calmed some of that chatter down. John Wall hasn't even played with the Houston Rockets either this year. So Dragic, John Wall, they haven't played this year. Ben Simmons, of course, hasn't played for the Philadelphia 76ers. Big names here who all could be made available going into that February 10th NBA trade deadline. And if the Lakers are looking for a roster upgrade at the point guard position, I wouldn't hate bringing these guys in. But in order to do so, you might have to rid yourself of that Russell Westbrook salary. And who is going to want to absorb that Russell Westbrook salary? That's why the teams that we talked about earlier, rebuilding teams who could be used as kind of a salary dump-off destination. Let me ask you this question once more, and once more, it is the pinned comment on today's YouTube video. So scroll on down and get your votes in. Sound off in the comment section. Confidence level in the Lakers if Russ is not traded. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. Blaze, hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. What trade targets would fit best with the Lakers' new system with LeBron playing the 5? So we've talked about a couple of these guys here on the channel before. The Jeremy Grants of the world, because he can play multiple positions and give you some versatility. Are the Trailblazers going to hit the reset button as well? Hold on to Damian Lillard, who could be out for the rest of the year with that abdominal surgery after he underwent that procedure last week potentially. And if they do decide to kind of hit the reset button, could Norman Powell be made available? He's averaging almost 19 points per game. I like him as a playmaking guard who can put the biscuit in the basket. Gary Trent Jr. is a guy who we talked about on the last video for another Lakers trade target. And according to Hoops Hype, there is some interest for the Lakers in a guy like Gary Trent, who's having a career year, 16.5 points per game. He was actually traded for Norman Powell last year on that swap at the NBA trade deadline between the Trailblazers and the Toronto Raptors. So you play a little bit of small ball 5 with LeBron in the front court, and I think those guys could end up filling nice roles at that guard spot / wing spot if you want to move forward with LeBron James playing more center, more power forward to give you that lineup versatility. And I kind of like that versatility because nowadays in the NBA, you're playing a type of positionless basketball, and if you have one of the best players of all time occupying that 5 spot and you can still get it done defensively, it gives Frank Vogel a bunch of different lineups to mix and match with depending on the opponent any given night. Another reminder, hey, we're all about the reminders because we love pushing out content. We hope that you're all enjoying it. And if you're up to this point, hopefully you enjoyed today's show. And if that's the case, thanks for making the Lakers Report a part of your day. If you want to be a part of the next Lakers video, when we do some of these mailbags, use the hashtag Lakers in the comments section and you might get featured.